I was born in Georgetown, 222 Wood Street, Georgetown, South Carolina. (1917). I'm 96 years old. At the time, parents were very strict. I can say that. I stayed with my grandmother because my father was in the Navy and my mother was so she could be near him. You didn't do the things these children are doing now. You couldn't. The last time I got a whipping, it was in the 9th grade. I went to a birthday party and was supposed to come back the same way I went. Go down Wood Street, Duke Street, and come back the same way. I did not. I went from Duke Street on King and went down to that old theater that they had in Georgetown because everybody else was going down there. And I didn't come home when I was supposed to. My grandmother came around there looking, but she saw one of my little friends standing to the door. He told her, said, "No, I haven't seen her. I was right in there." So when she left, he said, "You better get out of here, girl. Say, I actually got something for you." So I went home. I went home, went down front, and then went to Wood. And when I got almost to the end of Wood Street, I saw her. So I let her go on home because I lived in the next block. When I got home, she didn't say anything. I sneaked upstairs, undressed like I was already there. And my grandmother came up there and gave me a whipping. There wasn't anything I could say or do, so I just took the whipping and went to bed after that. Oh, I loved to go into school because I wasn't very far from the school. I was about two blocks from the school. Went right around on King Street with the old Howard School. I finished Howard School. I remembered some of the teachers. Professor Beck was the principal at that time. His wife was a 4th grade teacher, I know that. Mrs. Bertha Sawyer was teaching 8th and 9th grade, you know, and those things. And Professor Howard, Professor Beck was the principal, Professor Howard was the vice principal. We had a Reverend Thompson, he was a 7th grade teacher. Mr. Boyd, he was 7th grade. We had first and advanced first. What they call, you go in the morning for first, you go at 12 o'clock for advanced first. So that made the 12th grade. Yeah, that made my 12th grade. You didn't wear pants to school. No pants. You wore a dress or a skirt to school. Minnie Kennan and I were in the same class. We had a lot of children from over to Paulus Island because they had no high school. They went to the Forsyth School, and then they came to Georgetown. After graduation, I stayed here until time to go to college. And I went to college in I graduated in 35. I went to Morris College in Sumter, South Carolina. There, I'm up there with the president of Morris College. He's the president now. The president I went is dead. studied education. Came back. First job I got was in King Street, South Carolina. I taught there from 39 to 43. My mother died in 43. And so I left and came back to Georgetown. Got a job at Howard School and taught from there to Maryville. And when I retired from Maryville. But by that time, when I went to Maryville, that was integration. I didn't want to go, you know. No, I didn't want to go. I did not want to go because I did not, well, it was going to be mixed up, and I was sort of afraid what was going to take place in the mixing up. And when I got there, I told my principal, Mr. Smalls, he was my principal then, I told him, I don't want to go. He said, but can't do anything about it. This is where they sent you. I said, all right. When I got over there, I told the principal over there I didn't want to come over there. But after I got over there and got kind of acquainted with the people, I liked it. I liked the children, because the principal then must be sending me half of the white children in the fifth grade I had. I explained to them very fully the first day I got in there, had a blackboard. I put my name on the top of the blackboard. Ojetta Parker Smith. I was married then. I said, now, if you don't like being in my class, the door's right there. Leave now. I don't want to have any mix-up. Nobody got up to walk out, so. And I had a very good, the years I spent out there, I enjoyed it. I had one, Nelson Brown, he's a policeman now. That boy is just as crazy as he can be. He was in my class. I met his mother. I met most of their mothers. They were very nice people. They had little parties and brought things. And when I was leaving, retiring, they planned a little party for my retirement. And I didn't know it. Nobody told me. So when it was all, they got it ready and everything, then they told me where to go. I was there. I was there when they first opened. We were teaching on just buildings. And when they built Beck, we moved from down off King Street out to where Beck was. And I taught the Beck until the integration. And when after the integration, I went to Maryville. Living on Wood Street, there were a group of whites that lived over in that area. And we played together. Played ball, played anything. They came over around there when we were playing, they played. I didn't have any trouble. Because I know what my grandmother taught me. And if you are not taught with the proper things, that's what happens. And see, I stayed with my grandmother most of the time because when my mother and father got married, that's where she was a teacher at Paula's Island. The first principal they had was my mother at Paula's Island when they integrated. No, before the integration. when they opened the school over there at the Parkersville, they called it. She was the first principal over there. I lived with my grandmother most of the time because being my father decided he didn't want to go back to school. And at 15 years old, he went in the Navy. And my mother stayed here for a while because she taught and I was there. Then after he got settled and all of that, you know, you can go and they have a place for you to go, any military way. So she went there for a while, and then she came back. She was in New York when she died. She was living in New York. I'm the only one that's living with my grandmother. That was my grandma. I didn't know my mother's mother and father because they were dead by the time I was born. My husband's name was Caesar Remington Smith. He made mattresses. He had a mattress making place in there. He did that himself. Right in the backyard. He bought a building from Charleston from one of the Navy places and opened it here. He did that in New York before he came back to Georgetown. And like the hotels, in New York when he came here, he said hotels had their mattresses done every year. But then he started over here, and some of them started doing it too. He would go and pick up the old mattresses and redo them, or he'll make a new mattress for him. He had more business over there than anything. Then he used to go into any place, anybody who wanted a mattress made, he made it. Because I think he was the only one I knew that was in Georgetown. We had our food and had everything else that we needed. Maybe not some of the most important things until later in the thing. But we stayed in that. I'll tell you where the house is. The house is remade now. Right across in front of Bethesda Baptist Church, that gray house, I sold that house to Melvin Hewell. That was my house. Because my father took care of me. And my mother could sew and do all this kind of thing, so we didn't have no car. We didn't have no television. We had a little radio. I had a piano. Went to music. I didn't learn it, but I had it. They gave me everything. My mother and father gave me everything I wanted. That's great. And when she came, she got everything she wanted. So now she can play music, I can't. She can play music. She went to, when she came, when she first started her to kindergarten, Bethel had a kindergarten. And she went to kindergarten. I went to school in the morning, and he carried her to Bethel to kindergarten. She went on till she got ready to go into public school. So she went to the same school that I went to. I didn't teach her though. No, I didn't have no teaching with her. So yeah, I taught her home. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I taught her very well home. Because she knew that I did not play. No, I didn't. And we had a group of little children around here. The Dunmores had grandchildren, and the Johnsons had children. Pauline Dunmore, Mamie, Miss Anna Wright. All of us had children around here. So they got along together. After she left that, she went to Catholic school 1 year She left the Catholic school and went away, Voorhees, Choppy for a year. And then she went to Bowling Haven boarding school. Camden, she went there. Then she went to Tuskegee, she finished high school, went to Tuskegee. Because my father being in the Navy, he took care of me. So I was staying with his mother, so he sent what I needed there. And if I needed, I sent to him once for some shoes. I said, I need some shoes. So he bought the shoes, sent me 2 pairs of shoes. When the package came, Mama said, who's this? I said, that's mine, Mama. Said, from where? I said, from my father. She said, oh, when did you ask? I said, I wrote and asked him for some shoes. The one thing he did not give me, you know, when girls go on the beach with the pajamas, beach pajamas and this thing. That's the one thing. He said no, and I didn't bother him anymore. One city he didn't want me to go into is New York.
I understand why.
He did not want me to go into New York. But when my mother went up there, and he was near enough, I went one summer just to see I wanted to see what New York was like. So I went that summer. But before time to come back to school, I said to my mother, I said, you know, I'll be going back in a few days. She said, don't worry. Your father has already sent the money for you to go back. I said, well, suppose I didn't want to go. She said, you were going back. I lived very well. I didn't need a car, so I didn't have one. And I went to church right across the street, because even as a little girl, my grandmother stood on the porch, and I walked across the street.
I go right across from Bethel.
Yeah, Bethesda. I go to Bethesda, on Wood Street. So there was no hard time going to church. Then when she went, or when they went, I went too. I went to see my mother on Paula's Island and went on a boat. She was over there, and I went on the Nesbits. She used to live with the Nesbits, and they had a boat. And I went to see her, so I went on the boat. I caught the boat down on Front Street behind Ford's store. And see, behind the store, there was a wharf, and everybody who had a boat came by there, and when they went back, they had to go around because there's no other way to get out. The Nesbits had a truck, and my mother stayed with them. So that's the way we got over there, and that's the way we came back. Didn't stay no long period of time. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my young life. I don't know about no one else. My grandmother had a daughter that was older than I was, and she was home. And the two of us were there, because she had 3 boys, and they were away. They had already gone away. She had another girl, but she was in college. So you didn't have no worries around there. And you know you were supposed to be in the house by a certain time. You see, Front Street had a lot of stores then. They had a lot of stores on Front Street. So I just had to walk to about a block and a half and go down on Front Street. And I knew most of the stores that I went into. C.L. Ford store was the food store that you went into. My cousins had a meat market, the Atkinsons had a meat market down on the end of, first it was in the middle where Belch used to be. Then there was another man that belonged to my church, was a pharmacy. He had a drugstore, Dr. Eaton. And when they moved from there, they moved down there where Number Joseph store is. They had a meat market there. Until, well, all got, some of them died older as they got older. And they didn't, nobody. I know the Paulies had a bakery down on front of, on the other side of Orange Street. They had a bakery down there. And at the first part of Front Street to King, no, I think it was Orange and Front, Mr. Gill had a tailoring shop. They had a theater, but it was on King Street. Theater was in that block of King Street where the bank is, like where the bank is, down in that section. They had a theater. I don't know how fashionable it was, but I know they had one. Because we had a man lived with us, had a blacksmith shop down there, Mr. Mims. Not to me, because I went and attended my business and came on out.
Yes, ma'am.
Because stores downtown, a lot of stores downtown, certain people didn't go in. I went in every store they had downtown. I went in there for what I went for and came out. We didn't have all of this stealing and fighting and all the stuff like that. Children were brought up, I guess, a little different because the people were older. Their parents were older. And most of them, the grandparents, they were staying with the grandparents and this kind of thing. That's why I told the man that wrote the article, I told him I didn't have any trouble with the people. They weren't any trouble to me. I didn't bother them, and they didn't bother me. Yeah, everybody knew people. Everybody knew everybody, and those people who worked for people, they had to work, so they worked. At that time, I didn't need a job, so I didn't work. When I got ready and I needed a job, I took a job. I went over to the golf club in Paulus Island. I worked at the golf club and just going out of Paulus Island. I worked there a couple of years in the summer. It didn't bother me. Me and the man who owned the place had a run-in once. A company used to come to sell things to the place. So, like toilet things and what things that you don't want to go to the store. So the man came in and I bought something. So when I was going out, He came out there and stopped me. I said, yes, what can I do for you for? He said, what did you take? I said, what did I do what? I said, take? I said, I don't have to take anything. That I don't have and don't have money to buy, I don't bother. So the next morning when I got there, I got his wife with him. I said, now you better talk to your husband if you want me to be here. I said, because I bought some toilet things from this company. The man had a big truck out there selling. And I said, I bought something from him. I said, so if you want, I told him, help yourself, look at what I bought. I don't have to hide nothing I bought. I never stole in my life. I'm gonna steal after I get to be high school. I wouldn't be that crazy. Not me. I'm crazy now. I'm just as crazy as I can be.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't just go around hitting them with the thing. And I told them. I told the parent. I said, now, I have order in my class. This is my class. I don't need your mama to come. I don't need your daddy to come. But when you walk in that door, you came in here to learn. And that's what I came to do, teach you. That's right.
And the door was closed. If you don't make it,
I didn't play with them.
you don't make it. The door was closed.
I loved every one of them, but I didn't play with them. Because I meet more people now that I've taught. Hey, Miss O.P. Smith. Saying to myself, how he know my name? Then somebody came here the other day and said, the only person that had the name on the board was Ojetta Parker Smith.
Full name, everybody else put
My full name. That's right. I don't think I'd like to teach anymore. Mm-mm. No, children, the children I know now are a little different from the children I taught then. Because the way number one, the way they carry on when they go, I can't stand that. Too old for that now. Too old. But I appreciate those that remember that I taught them and that they learned something. Because I really didn't leave my house to go there to play. They made me study in college. So you want to be somebody in your life and want to do something else, you need to learn. If I tell the parents, number one, they need to get them straight at home before they even leave home. And remember, you're going there to learn, not to show off, not to show what you got on. You're going there to learn. What are you going to do after you leave the school if you don't learn something? You going to just waste your time? I wouldn't. I couldn't go to no big university, but I went to a school that I could learn from. I went to New York University a year because I went up there one summer and I needed to do something. So I went to school that summer. And went to State College a couple of summers. In fact, during the winter, they would bring teachers in Georgetown to teach classes. So I just take a class. I just need to learn a little more. I say I need to learn a little more. Since 1929. Reverend George Daniels was my pastor. I was still in high school, going to high school. I went through Pastor Reverend Daniels. Then we had Reverend Mills. We had Reverend, this man went over there, across the road to, I can never think of his name. He came out of Charleston. I don't know them in order. I might know the younger ones in order, but I don't know them in order. I've been going to Bethesda since I know myself. That's all I can tell you. I just like to go to the services. I like to hear good speaking people. And my pastor here, my pastor got it together. Now a lot of people don't like what he says, but he's got it together. Don't tell me about Alfonso. Alfonso got it together. And he don't let those people worry him. Most of the ministers we've had them a long time. They don't just, come and leave. No, I loved him. Loved Johnson. And he stayed with us about 20. Johnson must have stayed with us almost 30 years. Oh, no, that's my girl. She and I are the two oldest people in there. I belonged to the church longer than she did, because she got married to Deacon McKent's and came there. I was a member then when she came. But she's 100 and I'm 96.